Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey Joe Archino back here. A lot of NBA stuff happening right now. The Golden State Warriors are obviously doing what they do best, and they're kind of making it harder and harder to believe that they are not going to emerge as the NBA champions once again. But I think moving past that, we're kind of getting to that important part of the season, and that's marked by the new All-Star rosters being announced the other day. For the West, if you haven't heard them yet, you've got Stephen Curry, Russell Westbrook, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, and Kawhi Leonard. Now, the big talk has all obviously been about Kobe Bryant, but this was one of those things where, look, in all All-Star games, you always have that legend who is not worthy of being an All-Star, but he's put there by the fans because of his career, what he has meant to the game. It's happened time and time again in the NBA, and look, if that's who the fans want to see, then who cares? Put him in. Let him play. That's what happens. Kobe Bryant's not an all-star. He's not in his old self. It's just the way it is. It's what happens when you get older. It's what happens when you've sustained the injuries that he's had. But that's who the fans want to see, so let him have him. That's who they've got. The interesting stuff here, though, I think goes to Kawhi Leonard because really he's been kind of the guy who's kind of been building more and more and more as a guy renowned in the league. I mean, Charles Barkley the other day saying in labeling him as the best player in the NBA. I mean, that's quite a testament. Now, that's obviously not true. He's not the best player in the NBA, but the way I mark a great player in the NBA is who plays both ends of the floor, and most importantly, who's mastered both ends of the floor. I really only think you can pick out maybe on one hand the great two-way players in this game. I think LeBron James obviously has been the best at doing that for years now. I think Kawhi Leonard has slowly but surely become one of them. Jimmy Butler, who I will get to, is clearly one of them. But there's not a ton of guys who are just masterful on both ends of the floor. You have maybe a guy like Carmelo, who I'll give credit to, has been better at getting his teammates involved this season, who largely play offense, and then you have guys who don't have a great offensive game and are largely in there to be defensive stoppers. But for the most part, there's not a lot of guys who can just get it done and get it done at a masterful level on both ends of the floor. Kawhi Leonard has become that in every way. Now, he's kind of the guy who came into the league like Jimmy Butler as a great defensive player. And that's what I think you have to do. Defense is a mindset. Everyone can play defense. Not everyone is as skilled a defender, but everybody has the ability to buy in on defense. And that's why I get so frustrated when you have superstars like James Harden and like Carmelo Anthony who just have refused to play defense for the meaningful defense for the most part of their careers. But you look at Kawhi Leonard, he comes into the NBA not a great offensive player, but makes his mark on defense. Then slowly he builds his game and becomes a terrific offensive player, and he's only going to get better and better as an offensive player because once you come in with a defensive identity, you can work on your offensive skill set. That's what offense is. In basketball, offense is a skill set, defense is a mindset. You can always hone your craft and get better at the offensive skill set, but the defensive mindset's got to be there from the beginning, and it was with Kawhi Leonard as it was with Jimmy Butler, and the two of them have kind of followed the same pattern. Kawhi Leonard is now one of the best two-way players in basketball. Jimmy Butler also one of the best two-way players in basketball. Now let me go to the East. The East starters, Dwayne Wade, Kyle Lowry, LeBron James, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony. Now, for the most part, Dwayne Wade is the same scenario as Kobe Bryant. Is he worthy of being in the starting lineup? I'd say no. Is he worthy of being an all-star this season? I would say yes, but not in the starting lineup. To me, Jimmy Butler, 150% is the shooting guard starter for the Eastern Conference. I think what Jimmy Butler has done to improve, I take him over. I think he's a better player than Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose doesn't have the versatility on both ends of the floor that Jimmy Butler has. I mean, let me just give you some of the things that Jimmy Butler's done this season. I mean, he dropped 53 points against the 76ers just a couple weeks ago. I mean, he's the only Bulls player to have a 55-5 game since Michael Jordan did in 1993. He's one of 3 players to drop 50 on the road against the 76ers. You know who the other 2 guys to do it were? Will Chamberlain and Michael Jordan. If you're in the company of Will Chamberlain and Michael Jordan for anything meaningful, that means something. And Jimmy Butler has meant the world to the Chicago Bulls team. We saw with Derrick Rose's injury kind of the way he kind of had to become a great offensive player, Jimmy Butler, because he came into the NBA, like I referenced with Kawhi Leonard, with a tremendous defensive skill set. A guy who really, I mean, you watched Jimmy Butler early, and you saw a lot of potential there. You watched him in those battles with the Miami Heat when LeBron was still on Miami. He gave that team a lot of trouble. You could see this kid really could play defense. What emerged next was the offensive game. The offensive game reached a new height last season. I voted him as an all-star last season. I thought he was incredible the way that he could now be a masterful player and a meaningful player on both ends of the floor. Jimmy Butler has now emerged, and this season has taken that offensive skill set to new heights, and that is what separates a guy like LeBron, like Jimmy Butler, like Kawhi Leonard from the rest. A guy like Dwight Howard is the same player today as he was when he came into the NBA. He has not worked at his game one bit. He's got the same moves, the same skill set. He has added nothing to his game. Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, guys like that work every day to add more versatility and add more moves to their game. It's why they're so great, and it's why they're so special. Jimmy Butler, to me, is a no-brainer starter as the shooting guard for the All-Star game. But again, I don't think you can ever get outraged by things that happen. Fans are emotional. Fans are going to vote with the players they have the most emotion to. And Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard, the one thing that you'll say is they're very similar to LeBron in that they're versatile and they're masterful stoppers and offensive players. But they don't and they never will have the same flash as LeBron James does. Their games aren't built on flash. It's built on substance and playing things technically the right way. They'll never be flashy players like LeBron James is, but they're great players. I'd take them on my team every day of the week. I mean, if I had to build my NBA first team tomorrow, I'm taking LeBron, I'm taking Kawhi, I'm taking Jimmy Butler, I'm taking Steph Curry. And you know, at center, I really think that you could do whatever you want with the big men. I mean, I think you could go in a number of different directions. But I think those guys right there as my core, I've got guys, I mean, and Stephen Curry maybe not the greatest defender out of all those guys, but I have guys who I know are always going to do things the right way and are going to do things always technically right. And their games are all built on substance, which I think more than anything is quite meaningful. But again, I don't think you can get too much into these rosters. I think Paul George, of course, we know what all these players can do. They're great. They've been all-stars. They've been here before. This is nothing new for most of these guys. The one guy I will give a little credit to, because I've been very anti-Carmelo throughout my radio careers, I think Carmelo has made an effort this season. His numbers are clearly up when it comes to assists and rebounds and just being a better active overall player. The thing that has always bothered me is I think it's always been there. He's always had the potential to do those things. It's just he's always had the inability and the refusal to want to do those things. And when you can and you won't, that's a big difference to me. And I think Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard, that's why I like guys like that, guys whose games are built on substance, guys who do things the right way. Again, I think very interesting, and I hope fans who really don't and pay attention to these players that much really take a look, because these guys can play, and I take them on my first team every single day of the week and then some. But until next time, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino, on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll be back very soon.